opener. Our leaders make our lives complicated. As Chris Osman always says, the biggest problems we face today have simple solutions. It is their implementation that is made difficult. In the end, the majority of all of the problems we face today boil down to wealth inequality. The simple fix is to make the wealthy pay their fair share. To do this would be to create a flat tax based on the needs of the country, and to cut those expenses like the military budget, which only seem to benefit those pushing for war the most. I'm not talking about the idiots who fall for the pro-war propaganda that leaders push in service of those who truly benefit from the racket also known as war. It's no problem that you doubt me, but why not listen to one, if not the most decorated Marine in America's history? Smedley Butler. I know. I get it. His name may be funny, but his message was not. The book he wrote called War is a Racket was a warning to all future generations. In this short read, to which I have provided a link below, Butler addresses some key points like how it's almost exclusively everyone except the rich whose family members must fight the wars that the rich and or powerful instigate. In Butler's book, he also points out how it's almost exclusively the rich who benefit from the wars they start. Though his book was written almost 100 years ago, the truths within it could not be more relevant than they have been throughout history and are today. For any American who questions this, ask yourself how you have personally benefited from any war in which America has engaged in within your lifetime. Ask yourself how any of the countries where America has interfered have benefited. I'd be willing to bet that you couldn't even name a country with even a neutral outcome from American intervention. Now, if you refuse to trust me and you don't trust Butler, how about a former veteran who also served as the President of the United States of America? When Eisenhower warned against the threat of the military-industrial complex, he did so without the possibility of personal gain. In other words, Eisenhower had no reason to lie when he gave the speech linked below. As the author Chris Osman says, a defense contractor can't make any more money from a bomb or missile that sits on a shelf. In other words, some war or another must be fought to generate new business for defense contracts. If only the wars American leaders started were instead fought against things like starvation, homelessness, medical bankruptcy, and poverty, America might be held in a higher esteem both from within and without. Besides standing against war and standing for reallocating the $1 trillion that now goes to the American military every year, why not strengthen America from within? Why not provide jobs because a bomb dropped in some foreign country does nothing for America but create yet another group or country that hates America? If, however, we simply relied on the planes, tanks, bombs, ships, and other military equipment built over the past few years and reduced the military budget down to just maintaining the defensive equipment built over the past few decades, couldn't we strengthen our homeland? Let's say we cut the military budget by 75% and just use the remaining $250 billion to maintain our weaponry. That would leave $750 billion to distribute to America and Americans in need. Whether that money went to repairing America's failing infrastructure or to helping a family buy, maintain, or stay in their home would be less relevant than the fact that it would all go towards stimulating America's economy. And what would be the argument against that? I know the usual and irrational arguments would surface. Things like there are welfare queens who have cell phones. My argument, which should be the argument of any leader with half a brain, would be as follows. First off, banks steal more than any welfare queens, but we barely argued against bailing them out. Secondly, to give that money to the poor and middle class means to give it to people more likely to spend it. To continue giving that money to wealthy entities or people means giving it to people who don't need to spend it and to those more likely to hoard it. As for our next simple fix, why not create a flat tax? Why not figure out the percentage of all of the income in America necessary to cover the budget for the year and simply tax that percentage to everyone equally, the rich included? Why not eliminate all loopholes in an effort to make taxes more fair? This is not my idea. It's not even a new idea. The first time I saw a flat tax proposed was during a presidential race. The candidate proposing it was former governor of Texas Rick Perry, who claimed filing taxes could all be done on a single 3x5 card. The taxpayer would write down their income, calculate the required percentage to pay, and write that down. the only remaining task being to send in the required amount owed. The solution for taxes couldn't be more simple. The implementation, on the other hand, however, is, but that's only because those who profit by keeping taxes complicated have greater control over the legislators who could enact the laws that would simplify all of our lives as they pertain to taxes. The complications in taxes provides yet one more issue upon which a candidate can run. It provides yet one more promise any prospective candidate can make while running, and one more promise of which said candidate could break once elected. What other reason could there be not to make taxes so simple that an 8th grader could file your family's taxes? Well, maybe not today's 8th graders. At least not today's American 8th graders. If you disagree, please refute my claim. And if you're worried about all of the accountants who would lose their job to a simplified tax system, don't worry. They were going to lose their jobs to artificial intelligence like the rest of us anyway. If you like the videos here and would like to see more, let your friends and family know about this website of Mixon's Entertainment on YouTube. There are plenty of blogs, news, and websites reporting and complaining about our leaders and their failures. How many, however, are offering or even pointing to any solutions? The book, Solutions, Enough Complaining. Let's Fix America by Chris Osman does, and it can be found on Amazon or at www.mikesonsentertainment.com. To find out other ways you're being screwed by your current leaders, check out the posts on this blog daily. Learn about the biggest and worst issues that America and its people face today. You can also check into this blog daily to hear about those issues that America and its people will face in the near and distant future. If, however, you would like to discover possible solutions to either mitigate the worst impacts of these issues or solutions to avoid them altogether, keep listening. The problems we face are not as complicated as so many leaders and news reports claim. They are man-made and are only claimed as complicated so those who are responsible can maintain control. For example, there is a persistent argument that moving government is like turning a cruise ship around. It is supposedly a long process that can only be achieved incrementally. While this may be true for laws and policies that benefit the majority of Americans, it does not seem to be so for that smallest of American minorities. When one examines the policies and laws that benefit that minority known as the elite or the rich, the speed at which those laws are passed is exponentially faster. While most of us sit on the deck chairs waiting for the Titanic to avoid the myriad of icebergs of which we seem to continually run afoul, the elite ride comfortably in speedboats. If, according to the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal, why do the rich live quite different lives than the rest of us? Where is our speedboat? In 2018, Chris Osman wrote a book highlighting the problems humanity would face if more power, wealth, and control were funneled to a small group of individuals, groups, or organizations. In that book, Mr. Osman provides solutions offered up from himself and others to the inevitable problems we would all face. In it, he also provided a means for the public to analyze, compare, and contrast the words and deeds of those we've chosen to follow against our real-world experiences. To this end, Mr. Osman provides the means for readers to disseminate information as provided by their news sources of choice, their elected officials, and any other authority they choose to follow. The book, titled Solutions, Enough Complaining, Let's Fix America offers a means to hold leaders up, not just to a higher standard than is currently accepted, but to one that will improve lives. Simple is as simple does. Click the link below and get your copy of Solutions today.